Hello everyone and welcome to Simply Made Homestead. Now today we're going to talk about growing some food. If you've been to the grocery store or watched television at all, you know that prices just keep going up, up, up. The big thing right now is eggs. You know, 3 years ago it was can't find toilet paper, and now the price of eggs is just ridiculous. In some stores there just is very little eggs, if any eggs at all. So it's a really big deal, guys. We need to grow our own food. So wherever you are in the realm of growing a garden this year, I would love to hear from you. Just in the comments below, if you could throw down your zone and where you are in the growing process. Hadn't really thought about it? Have you ordered your seeds? Do you have a plan? Has your garden been prepped? Do you know where you want to plant your garden? Do you not have any space to grow in a garden and you'll need to grow in pots? Guys, don't let that discourage you. Potatoes are grown in pots. I mean, just anything. You could peas and beans, and you can do little teepees, and there's just tons of different ways to grow your food. So don't let that kind of thing discourage you in any way. We are going to talk more about that, and I'm going to show you along the way a little bit. We don't grow in pots here, but it can be done. I grew cucumbers in pots up the side of a fence last fall, so until the hurricane came through and wiped them out. So, you know, you can do it, y'all. And think about it. How many cucumbers do you get on one vine? A lot of cucumbers. How many cucumbers can you eat? So you don't need to grow a ton unless you're trying to preserve it and feed others. So don't be discouraged. All right, now today our main topic is planting tomatoes. I want to talk to you about how I plant tomatoes. Now, personally, I like to try to save money wherever I can. When we started with our homestead, watching videos, I'm learning, I'm getting my stuff together, and I loved these little pots, these little 2.5-inch starter pots that are awesome for starting your plants. And these are super strong, good ones. They came from Bootstrap Farmer. I'll leave a link in the description box below. They're excellent. But they aren't as cheap as this little solo cup or little 16-ounce plastic cup. Not as cheap as this. So if you're trying to save money, you know, if you want the cute and you've got the extra funds, that's what you want. These are really good cups, and the trays are excellent. Absolutely excellent. Even with these, using the solo cups, I still highly recommend getting the trays, because that's what I put my cups in, and I put them under lights. And I use those nice sturdy trays. You know, lots of the ones you can find all over the place. When spring comes, those are super thin, super cheap. You grab them on one side, they bend, break. You know, they just don't hold up through a season. These trays and pots will last 4 years to come. So once again, I do like the trays, even with these. These are these little pots if you want to use them. I prefer these cups, especially with my tomatoes. I have grown them in here, and they end up this tall before it's time to transplant. The reason I like these better is because I need to moisten this soil first, but I'm going to show you a quick demonstration, or give you the first little tidbit here. I only fill the cup up halfway full before I plant my tomato. And then I just put my little seed in there, and then I just push it down in there a little bit, cover it up, firm the soil a little bit, and then the soil is already moistened, and we're ready to go. So I can put it in the tray, put my little marker in it. If I don't have a marker, I also use not duct tape, but the blue painter's tape, because I'm out of markers right now. I've got some on order, and so I'll do that too. Now this you can't transfer to the garden, so I will eventually put a marker in here once they come in, so that I can put them in the garden, because I have planted a lot of different kinds of tomatoes this year. But anyway, that's all I do. Get it just like that. And then when it starts coming up, your tomato, I've already added some soil to this tomato. You see how tall it is there? I have added soil to it 2 days ago. And do you see how much it's grown already? So all we'll do is we'll take some soil and just put it right around there like that. You see that? Just like that. That's all we do. And then you have soil, your tomato plant is growing up, up, up. Like with this little pot, it's growing up, 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 and right out of the soil. But with this one, you can continue to add soil around your tomato plant. And what does that do? It creates a much stronger tomato plant before you get ready to transplant it in the garden. Because that dirt around the tomato, that branch, if it's in dirt, it's going to continue to just grow roots, grow roots, grow roots, grow roots. Just like when you go in your garden and you plant your tomato bush, you've got one like this, what do? You plant it way down, way down, like it's this tall, so all of this, you'll pull the bottom leaves off and you'll dig a deep hole and you'll plant all of that tomato bush all the way down in the soil, so that then the root or the base of the stem of the tomato bush can begin growing roots into the garden. But if you do it this way, then yes, it gets that much head start, which, you know, it's not that much more, but you know what? It gets that much more. And I like that. So you're that far ahead when you get your tomato plant into the garden. Now, I want to show you, I've got some other tomato plants and things to grow today, because I had some of my tomato plants did not come up, some of my little seeds. So we're going to plant a few more pots today. And my peppers, all of my plants, I use these solo cups, guys. We get a huge pack of these at Costco. I'm sure Sam's has them too, and you can certainly find them at Walmart, dollar stores all around. It's going to be cheaper than buying regular pots. But the first thing I do, now this is, I do like an organic seed starting mix. I think this was $6 a bag. I do like that, and I just picked that up at a farm store. So I pour it in my bowl. I love this big old bowl. I use it for so many things, it's just ridiculous. I need to get another one, because I'm sure it would come in handy. Because there have been times already I'm like, oh, I gotta wash my bowl. So I got dirt in my bowl, I gotta clean my bowl. I guess I could use a bucket or whatever. But anyway, I just like the bowl. It's kind of wider on top and easier to get to all my stuff. Okay, so I just put the dirt in there. I break up any clumps that are in there, and then we're going to just go and add some moisture. Now, when adding your moisture, your water to the soil, it does take a lot for it to get all moist, but you don't want to add too much. So I just start out, you know, squirting some on top. You can see as soon as I went underneath, it's all dry. But if you get too much water, you can like pour it off, pour the excess off, and then just kind of let your soil sit out for just a little while in the air, and it will dry out. This is where you want it to be. When you squeeze it together, it holds shape. It doesn't fall apart, but water does not drip out of it either. Now, any of my tomato or my pepper seeds, whenever I get them planted and I put them in the tray, you can see right here my setup. I just use this silver shelf that I bought at Lowe's, and we hung lights from it. They're not grow lights, they're regular fluorescent lights. We hang them nice and close to the plant, and we do put heat mats underneath them to help the germination process. And with peppers, it's really a big help. Peppers take longer to germinate, and that little bit of heat underneath, warming up the soil, really helps that process. They can take 7 to 14 days. My pepper plants have still not come up, and I've added dirt to this tomato plant twice. So what day did I plant those? Oh my goodness, I don't have it on my notes here, but I have it on my little spreadsheet on the computer. With my pepper plants, I do fill my cup up higher. Now, you know, like when we plant our plants, we plant the seeds so shallow. Set that to the side for just a minute. We plant the seed really shallow. I don't know where my chopstick went to. I love my little chopstick. I don't know what happened to it. And you can see the pepper seeds, they are bigger than the little tomato seeds. So I'm just going to use my finger. I just made kind of an indenture. You see that? Made an indenture in the cup. Put my little seeds back. And then I'm just going to cover it up and then gently pat it down in there. Now, I planted this. I think I planted enough of the bell peppers, but I did this one for y'all just so y'all can see. See, now with the bell pepper, you don't have to add, they don't, you know, have to add dirt to them halfway up the cup and all like that. I do give them a little bit of space because all the roots, they start right there, and then when they do get bigger, I do add a little soil around it when they get, you know, right on up a bit from out of the cup, just to give them a little more stability within the cup. But those roots are going to continue to grow down, 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 and which will really be hanging onto that soil, and it'll be nice and strong. But you see, you still have a good bit more dirt. You know, the width of the cup, you can see, is much bigger, and they will have a lot more support for a longer period of time. So that's how I do my little pepper plants. Any of my other seedlings, that's how I do them. I'd probably even add maybe a little bit more dirt than that. But tomato plants, for sure, we're going to do just a half a cup. So let's do one more tomato plant here, because I definitely have to plant some more of them because some of my seeds did not come up. No. Now, I was like, oh, I'm going to have this many of this tomato. I'm going to sprinkle a few on top and then split them all up and transplant them. Girl, that is a pain. Honey, I do not do that anymore. That's awful. And then it's just, I don't know. I feel like I'm wasting my seeds. Then you get so many in a pack, you think, oh, that's not a big deal. But you know what? With things like they are, I'm thinking, you know, it might be kind of a big deal. And I could grow some extra plants for somebody else that might need some. So anyway, here are some Abraham Lincoln. I planted San Marzano last fall, and they did really good. And then the really cold weather came. Oh, there's nothing left in that pack. I think I have more somewhere else. Oh, I sure hope so, because I really wanted some more Abe Lincoln. Well, since I am out of my Abe Lincoln, I sure hope I have more in there. I think I do, because I want a couple more of those. I want a lot of paste tomatoes to be able to put a lot of tomatoes up. Now, you see how tiny tomato seeds are? Those things are so teeny, teeny, tiny. So it's one little drop. Oh, and you just barely indent the soil. Press it all around, and it's all done. It's ready to go. And we have, this is the purple tomatillo. But that's all there is to it, guys. Here we go. Got my little blue tape, and we're ready to go. Right here, you can see here the tray that I was talking about. These trays are super, super sturdy, y'all. I mean, you see, I'm trying to bend it, okay? You see that? Really nice and strong. These are well worth the money. And as you can see here, you see the tomatoes that are up out of the dirt? Now, even though there isn't like tons of tomatoes sticking up, I like to go ahead and get my little dirt around there. It gives them a little extra support and just helps to get them a head start. When you start your seeds, and if the tops dry out quick and they haven't sprouted yet and you need to give it some water, just use a misting setting and water from the top, okay? And you don't want to water to the point that you disturb your seedlings. You want to make sure that all your little seedlings stay where they are and they don't get washed all around the cup, okay? So you want to be very careful. But once they come up and they're growing, you can water from the bottom. And you can just pour the water right into this pan right here and let it soak up from the bottom. My husband, he will take a big old stack of these cups, bigger than this actually, and he'll get his a drill bit, a really long drill bit, and he'll go all the way through all the cups at one time. So you don't have to do one at a time, and it's much more stable because you've got the thickness of all the cups. So it just goes right through there. I just do the one hole and it works out great. Now, when I do begin watering my plants from the bottom, I do start with like an indoor fertilizer, as I have a 20-20-20 that I use, and I just use 1 teaspoon of fertilizer in a gallon of water, mix it up really well, and then I'll pour about a 1/2 inch in the bottom of this tray, and then I kind of watch it. If it has water left in it in 30 minutes, you need to try to, you can very gently, if the tray is nice and full, gently pour it to one corner and get it, pour it out. You have to be very, very careful you don't dump your cups. You'll be sick about it if you do. And you can get them out that way. Or I've taken a turkey baster. Y'all seen, if you saw my chicken hatching baby chicks, you know my turkey baster is my best friend around here. But anyway, I'll take it and I'll just suction the water out like that, because you don't want them sitting there getting soggy. You want them to be watered and moist, but you don't want them to be soggy. So if there's still water standing in 30 minutes, you need to get the water out of there, okay? So, and then you can kind of eyeball it. If it sucks it up super fast, then add a little bit more. And you'll be able to see when it gets moist on top, because when the dirt is dry, it's lighter in color. And then once it gets nice and moist, it darkens up. So it'll be real easy to see. Now, tomatoes and peppers, that is like the first thing you have to get started and ready to go in the garden. And I always get super excited about tomatoes because there's just so many colors and varieties and flavors, and it is just scrumptious good. And one thing I did not have in seeds this year is cayenne, and I still haven't bought any. I haven't been anywhere. When you live and work at home, you don't get out a lot. So I've got to get some cayenne. I've got to get them started because I use it a lot around the homestead for the animals. It helps to keep worms away if you dry it and grind it up and put it into their food. So really got to get my cayenne. Like when you're pouring it in there, if you use a spoon, you can get your dirt up and then you can kind of hold the spoon where the tomato is, and then you dump the dirt like that, and it keeps the dirt from flopping on top of the tomato plant, and then it's buried. You got to find it. Yeah. So how do I know that? Because I've done that. Now, many of you know that I love walking through the garden and munching on okra and broccoli and peas and tomatoes, and it's just a fun thing to do. So I want all my trouble and effort and expense, because these things do cost money, I want it to be worthwhile. I want it to get the best out of what I'm doing. So I have so many tomato seeds. Do you see this list right here? This isn't all of them. These are all the different varieties of tomatoes that I have. And while that does look like a lot, there are a lot of people that have a lot more than that. But for me, I want to know what is going to work, what is going to grow the best as far as coming up quickly, how well they do in the garden, how susceptible they are to disease and to pest. How much production do I get off of them? How much care do they need? I want to know all of those things because I still want to grow a variety of tomatoes in my garden, but I don't want to waste my time or my space on ones that just don't do well. So that's why I have started a list. I've actually started a spreadsheet. If I get it together where I feel good about it, I will share it with you guys on a future garden video. So I want to keep track of what's going on and what's working out the best. So that is what I have done right here. So the reason I'm showing you this is because I want to encourage you to keep records of what you're growing, where you're growing it. I'm going to very soon be out in the garden. I'm going to take you guys along with us. We have changed up our garden space a little bit. We're trying a new method and I'm super excited about it. So I'm going to go out there and we're going to draw a map of our garden, of where things were planted in the fall, and figure out where we're going to put our spring vegetables, because it matters. Rotation planting is very important to help keep the pests down, and so we will be doing that very soon. Well, y'all, I finished this video and then it hit me. I did not show you this handy dandy little tool here, and it's worth coming back in here and showing it to you. Now, this little chart right here, if you are just starting out gardening, this thing will keep the headaches away because it tells you when to start plant certain plants indoors, when to plant them outside, and how long to harvest, and it just really gives you an overview of what to expect, and it helps you plan your garden. Now it has two sides, one for spring and one for fall, and what happens is on the front, that little red line right there, you just set it to wherever your last frost date is for the spring. On your last frost date, and then you will know when to start certain things indoors, when to plant them outside, when to transplant first plant outside. It even tells the last plant. You've got until this date to get this planted. After that, don't bother. So, and then on the fall side, it's the same way, except you'll have your red line on your first frost date. Now, to find your frost dates, I'm going to put a link in the description box below where you can enter your zip code, and it will pull right up for you and tell you exactly what your zone is, what your frost dates are, and you'll be ready to go. Now, over here on the right, these are even your companion plants. When you're planting your vegetables, companion plants really do help. Certain things like certain herbs and things you can throw in there, mix in the mix of everything, and it helps fight certain pests. They just really work together. They feed off each other, the plants do. So this really super good tool, guys. Don't forget, link in the description box below. Check it out. I think you're gonna love it. All right, guys, I can't wait to hear from you and what you're going to be growing in the garden this year. And your garden can be pots on your back porch or on your patio or whatever you have, y'all, beside a big window somewhere. I want to know what's in your garden. And guys, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. We appreciate you so much. Thank you for being here. And until next time, take care and God bless.